The central idea of the book is that you cannot really analyze religion unless you have a framework in which the state plays an important role. So it's really this idea that a religion cannot be analyzed as a kind of separate, isolated phenomenon, but that if you want to understand the behavior of the people, and especially the religious people, the clerics, etc., you have to analyze it in interaction or in relationship to the state and the state behavior. So it means the state is a critical agent with respect to religion. You know, it started in the following way. I read a book that was extremely influential, written by a scholar of Islam, US-based, called Bernard Lewis, who was an advisor, special advisor, to George Bush at the time of the Iraqi war, in fact. And his book was extremely strong in terms of its argument. It was essentially saying that there is inherent characteristics of Islam as a religion that make it a problem for democracy, for modernization, and for economic growth. And so it was a replica of the thesis or the theory of Max Weber, who argued that in Europe, development has occurred after the the Protestant Reformation. And so it is the inherent characteristics of Protestantism vis-à-vis Catholicism that has unleashed the forces of modernization. And so that's what was challenging for me. I couldn't believe that. It was too simple. And so I started exploring the subject and saying, what is it in Islam? And can we believe that Islam has inherent, kind of definite characteristic that make it a problem for development? I couldn't believe it because, after all, Islam had periods of its history in which it was at the apex of the world civilization. So I was thinking, no, there must be something more circumstantial that determined the difficulties of Islam today, and that's what I wanted to explore. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that the basic problem is with the state. The problem is with politics. And I believe it is true for all countries. It's not only for Islamic countries. That as long as the politics is not right, as long as states are run by people who are essentially driven by self-serving purposes and interests, and are ready to instrumentalize religion and other ideologies for their own sake rather than for the welfare of their own people, then there is a problem that is extremely difficult to solve. And you know, the question of institutions come in the wake of that one. In the following sense, it's you can kind of set beautiful institutions, but the key question is not whether you have beautiful institutions. The key question is, are they effectively working? Are they well enforced? How are your rules implemented on the ground? And there politics plays a very big role. In fact, this is, I think, something that I'm touching on my book, is that, in a sense, the Arab Spring has come as a result of a rebellion against despotic regimes. And these despotic regimes have also been very often the regimes that have nurtured Islamist organizations. And this Islamist organization has been very often sponsored by the Ministry of Interiors, the police, the secret services, intelligence, etc. And with the support of that, they were supposed to crush the left and the secular left. And in a sense, you know, this bad politics of many Arab despots in particular have created a situation in which the whole political debate is framed in religious terms, because the opposition is essentially a religious opposition. Why? Not because there was no left opposition, because it has been eliminated by the state with the help of the Islamist organization. Then at a point, the problem is that the snake that you have nurtured turns against yourself. And then suddenly you have the state, which is an authoritarian state, confronted with Islamist radical extremist organization. And then what you may fear is that you have the army taking over. And that's what you have in Egypt. And now if you test me, yes, but not in Tunisia. Yes, Tunisia is special for one simple reason, is that the army has never been powerful. It was the secret police and the intelligence which were powerful behind the regime of Bourguiba and then Ben Ali. And so there was no army to take over. And so that's why, in a sense, the Spring has more chance to succeed there. And also because what was there of the army, in fact, opposed Ben Ali at the time of the Spring. Okay, so there, the critical issue is how do you tame the police? And it's still a whole question there. But it's not like Egypt, where the army is strong. You know, we economists usually are very good and kind of in the sort of framing a problem, providing theory, articulating an argument, and we have rigorous empirical methods. The problem that in the kind of complex problem that involve religion and the state that I was just mentioning, even though it's very useful to have theory, experimenting in the way we usually do and consider as rigorous in economics is hardly possible. And so very often the limitations of economics is that, yeah, but you provide some test, but we have no real explanation. We don't understand the mechanisms that are at work. And this is where other disciplines are extremely useful, because they go into in-depth case studies and comparative case studies, which is the methodology that is appropriate in this case, because this is where you gain deep knowledge of the mechanisms that are at work. And this is what I need. But I think the strength of the economy is that, yes, but you can bring a theoretical structure that helps you bring together, empirical facts and highlighted mechanism in a way that makes sense and that builds up a powerful story. And that's what I try to do. Well, I must say I have presented my work in several Arab countries, in Kuwait City, in Cairo, in Beirut, and the reception was much warmer than what I expected. And in fact, the usual reaction was that this is the key issue. And it's very good that you are not Muslim, because it's easier for you who is a non-Muslim to say that kind of truth. But I was very surprised at the fact that they were very much aware of the role of politics.